bringing you exciting events and activities from China and around the world via an interactive multimedia platform. CRIEnglish.com, connecting China with the world.
This is actually the fundamental issue is that
A lecture at Beijing's University of International Business and Economics. But this teacher has an unusual hobby.
And the person says, I'm calling from the Nobel Foundation and my name is Adam Smith.
In his spare time, Yoram Bauman does stand-up comedy.
And Adam Smith says, I know it could be a hoax call, a name like that, it's a terrible burden. Mistake.
Yoram says he became a comedian by accident.
So while I was in graduate school, I wrote a parody of an economics textbook just to kind of blow off steam, and one thing led to another, and it got published in a science humor journal called the Annals of Improbable Research. And then they run a humor session every year at a big science convention in the United States. And in 2004, it happened to be in Seattle where I was living. And so I presented my funny paper there and had such a good time that I decided I was going to start going down to open mic nights at the Comedy Underground. The great thing about stand-up comedy, I like to say, is that there are no barriers to entry. You don't have to get a degree, you don't have to go to school. You just have to go down to the comedy club on open mic night and put your name on the list, and you get 2 minutes just like everybody else.
What I want you to notice here is how subtle economics is.
Yoram's material is full of academic references.
Governments are stupid, but they're not that stupid.
But there's also a serious point.
Right, the line that I tend to use is that I'm not worried that we're going to run out of oil, I'm worried that we're not going to run out of oil.
He's interested in how economic theory can be used to help the environment.
The policy part is that the way to get less pollution is to make polluting expensive.
And he's particularly keen on the idea of taxing carbon emissions. He says this could work in China.
If you deal with it in a sort of an economically efficient way, by using something like a carbon tax or a tax to deal with local air pollution in China, then not only do you generate revenue that you can use to either provide social services or reduce existing taxes, but you also clean up pollution and you reduce the resulting health impacts and other impacts on society that weigh very heavily here in China.
Yoram says comedy can explain ideas like this, which are rarely heard outside academia.
To be more serious about being funny, comedy is a great way to talk to people and connect to audiences, and especially when it comes to issues like climate change. There are a lot of people in the world, and especially in the United States, who just turn off. Right? They don't want to hear about it, they're skeptical, and when you come at it through humor, I think that it provides a way to open the door.
Although I will say I did this routine for a pretty conservative crowd in Minnesota once, and this guy came up to me at the end and said that the stuff I said about climate change was the funniest part of my whole routine.
But the most important test of any comedian is audience reaction.
Few concepts were difficult, but he's a very funny man.
No, we think it's great he's got a PhD, but he just seems to be able to connect with what's going on in the world that we all know about anyway and make it funny.
It basically tells you a lot of uncomfortable or perhaps hilarious truth about what you study. Devote a few years of your life to, basically.
Yoram's humour's not only found on stage. He recently co-authored the second volume of the cartoon Introduction to Economics, due for release next year. For CRI, I'm Dominic Swire.